What's going on, guys? Roden here. Welcome back to the next installment of the What If Ash Was Born in Unova Remastered series. This is going to cover parts 4 through 6. But before we get into that, I need you to take a look at this analytics stat bar right here. 60.3% of you guys that watch my content are not subscribed. So you can do me a favor and turn on notifications and hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss another upload from the channel. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into What If Ash Was Born in Unova parts 4 through 6, the Remastered series. I hope you enjoy. Ideals of a Novice. It's been a day since Ash and Iris left Flossessie Ranch. They stopped and stayed the night at the Pokemon Center in Flossessie Town, where they saw Hugh, who was gearing up for the Battle Club as they left. Now, they are on Route 19, just north of Aspertia City. Ash keeps saying he can't wait to earn his first badge. Iris comments that he shouldn't be so cocky. He only has 2 Pokemon, and they don't have much battle experience. Ash, with Riolu on his shoulder, says, "Don't worry. With Riolu as my partner, we can't lose." Ash has become extremely overconfident and doesn't realize it. As this is happening, the group is walking by a pond on Route 19. They stop to look at the surrounding wilderness. Ash proclaims that there is a whole world of Pokemon out there waiting to be caught, and he will catch them all. Just as he said that, he is hit in the face with the bubble beam. Ash looks around but can't see where it came from. Iris and Riolu are laughing at him when Iris gets hit in the face too. Then Riolu senses something under the water. It points at Ash, signaling into the water. Ash is now super mad. He grabs a rock and throws it into the pond, which is followed by a cry and a Pokemon with a huge lump on its head that pops out. Ash pulls out his Pokédex and it reads, "Palpitoad. It lives in water and on land. It uses its long, sticky tongue to immobilize its opponents." Ash says, "Perfect. Iris, watch. I'll catch this Palpitoad and prove that I'm a great trainer." Ash chooses to go with Riolu and orders a quick attack. However, Palpitoad counters with a supersonic. Riolu stops dead in his tracks. Ash inquires what's wrong. Iris says that Riolu is now confused. Ash says, "That won't stop us," and orders another quick attack. Riolu charges in, but in the opposite direction, and ends up hitting a tree. With Riolu being confused, he can't focus on Palpitoad's aura. Ash then calls for another quick attack. This one manages to get through, but Palpitoad counters with a mud shot, making contact with Riolu, knocking it down. Ash then orders an Aura Sphere. Riolu is able to get past the confusion, but something is wrong. It can't seem to form the Aura Sphere. As it tries, Palpitoad fires a bubble beam, connecting and knocking out Riolu. Iris says, "See, I told you, you need more practice." Ash ignores her and grabs Riolu, telling it that it did a great job, but it should take a rest. Ash then sends out Swadloon. Palpitoad uses an Uproar, and Ash orders a Protect. Ash then orders a Grass Whistle that makes contact, making Palpitoad drowsy, followed by a Razor Leaf that connects with Palpitoad. Being a water ground, it has a 4 times weakness and gets knocked out immediately. Ash throws a Pokeball and captures this Palpitoad. Celebrating, Ash smugly holds the ball up. "See, I told you that I would catch it, and I am a great trainer." Iris just rolls her eyes as they then head south to Aspertia City. It's late in the day when they arrive, but the sun is still up. Ash immediately heads to the gym. Iris says he should wait, but the excitement of getting his first badge is too much, and he doesn't hear her, or just ignores her. Can't really tell for sure. Once he arrives, he meets Cheren inside. Cheren greets Ash and asks if he's here for his first gym battle. Ash replies yes. Cheren, excited about this, says great. This will be a 2-on-2 battle. They head out to the battlefield. Cheren starts this battle by sending out his Herdier. Ash, thinking he's pretty hot, sends out Palpitoad. It looks at Ash. Clearly it has fatigue from its earlier battle, but Ash doesn't realize this and orders a Mud Shot, but it won't move. Cheren sees this and decides to take advantage of it by ordering a workup. Ash, not understanding what's going on, yells at Palpitoad, "Hey, I caught you, so I'm your trainer. That means you have to do what I say." But Palpitoad doesn't move. And then Ash realizes it looks tired and is still suffering from the effects of the earlier battle. Meanwhile, Cheren orders a takedown that connects, knocking out Palpitoad. Ash recalls it. Now he's thinking and realizing that his Pokemon are battle worn and they can't win, just like Iris tried to tell him. Just then, due to the battle with Palpitoad, Herdier starts to glow. Now Cheren has a Stoutland. Ash is now questioning himself, and all he can hear is Iris saying, "I told you so," from the sidelines. Ash looks at Riolu and tells it he's sorry. He will concede the match, but Riolu jumps in. Even though it is battled, he is upset that he lost, and wants to make up for that loss by battling Stoutland here. Ash, not wanting to second guess his partner, says okay, and orders a quick attack to start the battle. Cheren orders a dodge, and a counter with the Shadow Ball. Riolu, however, is able to sense it and dodges, but Stoutland's new speed is too much, and it catches Riolu off guard, hitting it with with the crunch. Ash orders an endurance from Riolu that just barely saves it. Ash then realizes they only have one chance to win, and he orders Riolu to charge an Aura Sphere in response. Chirin orders a takedown from Stoutland that charges in fast, but something is wrong again. Riolu is having trouble charging the Aura Sphere, and before he knows it, he is hit with a takedown and is knocked out. Ash picks up Riolu and looks at Chirin. "I'm sorry," he says. "I wasn't ready for this battle. Iris tried to tell me, but I wouldn't listen. But I promise, next time, I will be." And then they leave. Ash gets home, and they tell his mom what happened. She says, "Don't worry. After a good night's sleep, Ash can come up with a new plan for tomorrow." Later that night, Ash is laying in bed, thinking about Riolu and what happened today. Riolu can sense that Ash is troubled, and all it does is get close to Ash as they both fall asleep. The next day, Iris and Delia are out in the kitchen talking. Ash comes in. He looks at Iris and asks, "Please, can you train with me?" Iris is kind of stunned. She didn't think Ash would ask for help like this. Ash goes on to say that she has experience, more than he does, and he needs to get better. The only way to do that is to train, and he feels it would go a lot better if it was with someone. Iris, thinking it could help Axu, agrees, and after a very big breakfast, they get started. Over the course of the next week, they make great progress. Swadloon has made some great progress in itself, being faster with its timing. Riolu has made the most progress though. In the week that they've been training, they focus mostly on generating Aura Sphere. Although it can't be produced very quickly, it can be at least made on command. After 2 uses, Riolu seems to have trouble making a third one. But due to the training, Riolu has learned 2 new moves, Force Palm and Counter. Unfortunately, the biggest problem is Palpitoad. During the training, it's being very difficult. It would listen to Ash when it felt like it was the right command, but if it felt like Ash was wrong, it would do what it wanted. Also, when it's around Riolu, Swadloon, and Iris's Pokemon, it tries to be the big boss and tell them what to do. Axu just laughs, thinking this is a game. Swadloon goes along with it, while Riolu and Snivy just ignore it. This frustrates Palpitoad, and as a result, it doesn't like when those two are around. At the end of day 7, Ash asks Iris, "Do you think I might be ready to re-challenge Chirin at the gym?" She responds that he has gotten better, but only Ash can truly make that decision. Ash looks at Riolu and asks, "What do you think? Do you want to give it a second shot, buddy?" It nods with a yes response. So, the next day, they head back to the gym. Once inside, Chirin is there, and Ash requests another rematch. Chirin agrees, but would like to make it a 3-on-3 this time, now that he knows that Ash has 3 Pokemon. This is a problem, because Ash wasn't planning to use Palpitoad in a battle until he had made more progress with it. But Ash agrees anyway, saying sometimes you have to walk before you can run. Ash, thinking that Chirin will start with Stoutland, and wanting to end the battle before he has to use Palpitoad, sends in Riolu. But Chirin wants to test Ash, and sends in a Pidove instead. Iris tells Ash that this is bad. Fighting types are weak to flying types. Ash says he knows, but he needs to take it out here. Ash orders a quick attack, and Chirin counters with the Gust, holding Riolu back. Chirin remarks that Ash will have to do better than that. Ash says, "Don't worry, we can," and orders Riolu to get in close to Pidove, but in response, it flies higher. Ash tells Chirin, "Great idea, but if you don't get close, then you won't be able to cause any damage." Chirin laughs and orders Pidove to use an air cutter, which connects with Riolu. It knocks it back, but it is still standing. Ash realizes he has to end it now or Riolu won't last much longer. He orders a quick attack, which Chirin orders the same from Pidove, and the two collide, but Ash's has more of an impact and knocks them both to the ground. Ash, realizing this is his chance, orders another quick attack, and Chirin does the same. Ash tells Riolu to stop and wait. Pidove comes in at a high speed, connecting with Riolu, and as it connects, Ash orders Riolu to use Counter. It connects with Pidove and knocks it to the ground, leveling it with a KO. Riolu's proud. It won its first battle and is ready to go for a second one. But Ash, not wanting to make the same mistake he made last time, calls it back. Ash then sends out Swadloon, and Chirin decides to lead with his Watchog. Ash has yet to see this Pokemon and pulls out his Pokedex. After getting the info that the Pokedex has, Chirin starts the battle with the Super Fang. Ash counters with the Protect, then orders a Razor Leaf. Chirin counters this, however, with the Flash, blinding Swadloon. Before they can recover, Watchog gets behind, and it hits with a Super Fang, knocking Swadloon down and causing severe damage. Ash orders a Razor Leaf in retaliation, and Chirin counters with a Detect. Ash needs to do something. He orders a Grass Whistle, but Watchog plugs its ears with its paws under Chirin's orders. Then it rushes in as Ash orders a Bug Bite that connects, but Chirin counters with the Crunch that knocks out Swadloon. Riolu growls, and it wants to go back in. Ash asks if it's sure, and it nods yes. Now, without hesitation, it jumps back in. Ash leads the same way he did last time. Quick attack! Chirin counters with a Detect. Ash realizes he needs to connect with the powerful move, but if he uses an Aura Sphere, he will only have one left. Then he has an idea. Chirin orders a Super Fang, and Ash tells Riolu to wait. Chirin realizes what Ash is doing and tells Watchog to change to a Crunch to try and knock it out instead. Once Watchog is close enough, Ash orders Riolu to use a Force Palm, and it connects, stopping Watchog in the process. Now, it can't move due to paralysis. Ash then orders another quick attack, and Watchog takes it in full force. Watchog is finally knocked out. Cheerin remarks that Ash has come a long way in the last week, but it's over now, and sends out Stoutland. Ash realizes that Riolu is tired and breathing really heavily. He asks if it can keep going. It nods and faces Stoutland. Cheerin wants to end this battle quickly and orders a Shadow Ball. Riolu counters it with the Force Palm. Ash then orders a quick attack, and Cheerin counters by telling Stoutland to stay. Riolu rushes in, and Cheerin orders a shift in stance, but Riolu doesn't notice, missing the target. Cheerin notices this and decides to take advantage. Ash orders another quick attack, and Cheerin orders a wait, but this time Ash orders Riolu to jump above Stoutland and to use Aura Sphere. It connects. Stoutland takes some damage, but it's still standing. Cheerin orders Stoutland to charge in at Riolu, which is what Ash wants, but as Stoutland gets closer, it fires a Shadow Ball. It's too close to dodge, and Ash has to block it with an Aura Sphere. But Stoutland gets in close, and Cheerin calls for a Thunder Fang that connects. Riolu is down, knocked out from the interaction. Ash walks out and gathers his starter. Looking at Riolu, he tells it good job. Then he walks back to the edge and sets it down. It's here that Ash starts to think, should we forfeit? He doesn't have the confidence in Palpitoad, and he could lose anyway. Cheerin then asks what's taking so long. Send out your last Pokemon. Iris tells Ash, don't give in. You have already made it further than you did last time. Keep going. Ash digs in and decides he's going for it. He sends in Palpitoad. The Tongue Titan emerges, giving Ash a look that is very concerning. Cheerin, however, wants to waste no time, and he orders a workup. Ash then calls for a Supersonic. Palpitoad looks back at Ash and fires a Bubble Beam at Stoutland. It connects, but Stoutland is still standing. Cheerin comments that it seems that Ash and Palpitoad need some work on their teamwork. Luckily, ours is perfect, and he orders another Shadow Ball. Ash orders for a Mud Shot. Palpitoad decides to listen for once, and executes the move, canceling each other out. Cheerin then decides to follow up with the Crunch. Ash tries Supersonic again. Palpitoad actually listens a second time, but it fails, and the Crunch connects. Palpitoad looks back at Ash, then fires a Bubble Beam again. It misses, and Cheerin orders another Shadow Ball that connects. Palpitoad is knocked back down. It struggles to get back up and starts to fire Mud Shots at Stoutland, but it keeps dodging, and all they're doing is covering the battlefield. Cheerin is done playing with Ash. Ash pleads with Palpitoad to use Supersonic as Stoutland charges in, and it does. Supersonic actually manages to connect. In its confusion charging across the battlefield, Stoutland starts to lose its footing and slides around as Ash orders a Bubble Beam, but Palpitoad chooses to just stand there. Stoutland then slides into Palpitoad full force, head first, and knocks itself out. Ash and Cheerin both can't believe it. Palpitoad is still standing, and Ash wins. After that, they recall their Pokemon, and Cheerin presents Ash with the basic badge, but Ash doesn't want it. He feels that he didn't actually win the battle fair and square, but Cheerin explains, a win is a win. He had the only Pokemon left standing out of the 3-on-3 battle. No matter how it happened, that makes him the winner. Ash reluctantly takes his badge. Cheerin also tells Ash he noticed something in the battle. Riolu is having trouble differentiating between its aura reading ability. Up till now, it's just been relying on it, but it will cause a problem of being fully blind if it can't sharpen its other senses. Ash takes this advice. The next day, Iris wants to talk to Ash. She says she had a lot of fun, but she thinks it's time for her to go on her own way. Ash asks why. Iris says she started out on a new journey for herself to see the parts of Unova she hadn't seen yet, but now she is behind in the time frame she had set for herself. Ash says that they can do it together, but he understands. He suggests that they at least stay together until they reach the port in Burbank City. Iris agrees to these terms, and they set off on the beginning of their own quest. A difference in power. Ash and Iris finally arrive back in Flossesie Town, and as they enter, they run into Hugh. He spent the last week or so training at the Battle Club. He states he's learned all he can here, and has decided to challenge the gym in Burbank City. He goes on to say that Ash and Iris should stop in on the Battle Club and meet its owner. He's there today, as a matter of fact. Before he heads off, Hugh asks Iris and Ash something. Can you be on the lookout for Team Plasma? He goes on to say, I will be hunting them. I need to get Purloin back, and the best way is to use the gym challenge and battle clubs to get stronger. They say, sure, no problem, and with that, they part ways. Ash and Iris then decide to head to the battle club. Inside, they are amazed by what they see. Iris remarks they didn't have anything like these when she first started out on her journey. Ash replies, well, we can train here, and I need to work with Riolu to get Aura Sphere better, and to sharpen its senses. Iris replies, and Palpitoad too, because you did win your last gym battle on dumb luck. Ash sighs, yeah, you're right. Then the two hear, what is this? We have some newcomers? They turn to see a person standing right behind them with a huge smile, and they ask who he is. He introduces himself as Don George and says, welcome to my battle club. He goes on to say, "You two are just what we were missing." They both introduce themselves and reply sorry. "But what are you talking about?" Don George goes on to explain, "This is the Black and White Battle Club. He is hosting a championship to find the strongest trainers. The Black and White Tournament." He explains that in towns and cities scattered across Unova, he has set up battle clubs, some black, some white. A trainer that can secure 4 wins in these facilities under a specific color will win the chance to challenge the main facility of that color. Iris says, "So it's like a gym challenge?" Don George replies, "Kind of." He says that the gym challenge is a championship that's held once a year, but this is always going on. The top trainers are always changing and evolving. There is no downtime. You could be the champion one day, but lose it the next. This interests Iris, as it's far different from what she's used to, and she wants to try it. Ash does too, so they both agree to enter. Don George goes on to state that each battle club has its own set of rules, with a 16 trainer playout. The Flossessi Town Battle Club rules are simple. 1 Pokemon in the tournament. It's to test the bond of the Pokemon and their endurance. If you win, you advanced. If you lose, you're out. It's that simple. Ash and Iris both decide to enter. Iris chooses Snivy, and Ash, well, he chooses Palpitoad, thinking maybe this could be exactly what he needed. Ash and Iris both manage to clear the first round. Iris does this with no problem, but Ash, because of Palpitoad, has a little bit more trouble. He still wins, but just barely. The next round is announced, and Ash is up first. He faces a trainer named Ty from Burbank City, and he uses Venipede. The battle starts, and Ash orders a Supersonic, but Palpitoad does nothing. Ty orders a Toxic, and it connects. Now, Palpitoad is poisoned, and it looks back at Ash, then fires a Mud Shot at Venipede with no command from Ash. Ty has Venipede dodge and tells Ash that he should train Palpitoad better, and then orders a Venoshock. Ash panics and orders a Bubble Beam. Surprisingly, Palpitoad decides to listen, and does it. The two moves cancel each other out. The poison is starting to take effect on Palpitoad, and Ty orders Venipede to get in close while using Poison Tail. It connects and does more damage than usual. Palpitoad is in trouble, and Ash calls for an Uproar. Palpitoad executes it, temporarily stunning Venipede. Then, he calls for a Mud Shot, which does connect, but Venipede counters with a Venoshock, and it lands, knocking Palpitoad out. Ash recalls it, and thinks to himself, why does Palpitoad only listen to me some of the time? He doesn't understand it, as he walks away from the training field. The rest of the day flows on, and it ends up being Iris and Ty in the finals. The trainers take their place on the battlefield and send out their Pokemon. Snivy versus Venipede. Both look battle-worn, but are ready for this encounter. Both trainers have seen each other battle and are both aware of what each other's capable of. Iris starts with a Vine Whip. Ty counters with the Protect. Then he orders a Toxic. But Iris knew it was coming and orders a Leaf Tornado from Snivy to counter. This pushes through and connects with Venipede, but the damage is minimal due to the type disadvantage. Ty then orders Venipede to rush in and use Poison Tail. Snivy tries to use Vine Whip to keep its distance, but it misses, and the Poison Tail connects, causing a poison. Iris knows this is bad. She knows if Venoshock connects, Snivy won't be able to withstand it. Ty knows this too and orders a Venoshock. Snivy uses Vine Whip to dodge, but the poison is starting to take its toll. Iris has an idea to hold this off, but it's a risk. She orders Snivy to rush in and get close. It does, and Venipede tries to counter with the Poison Tail, but Snivy stops it with the Vine Whip. Iris orders Snivy to use Leech Seed, and it just so happens to connect. Snivy starts to feel the effects of rejuvenation immediately, but Iris knows that this is only a temporary fix, and the longer the battle goes, the closer Snivy will come to fainting. Ty tells Iris he's impressed. She might be strong enough to beat the Burbank City gym leader. Iris says thanks, as she's never challenged there before. Snivy is looking considerably tired and is out of breath. Venipede is starting to feel the effects of the Leech Seed as well, becoming more low on health as each second passes. Ty and Iris both know that the next attack will decide it. Ty orders a Venoshock, which Iris counters with the Leaf Tornado, but it was just a distraction to getting close so Venipede could use Poison Tail. But Iris thought he might try something like this and tells Snivy to use Vine Whip in a circular motion toward the Poison Tail to catch it, and it works. Next, Iris orders a Leaf Tornado at point-blank range, and Venipede gets it full force. Then both Pokemon collapse. Even though Venipede took the Leaf Tornado at point-blank, Snivy still took too much damage. Now both Pokemon struggle to stand back up. They both manage to make it to their feet, but the effort of the Poison and the Leech Seed both activate simultaneously. Snivy struggles to stay on its feet, and Venipede is knocked out by the Leech Seed, giving Iris and Snivy the win of the tournament. Don George presents Iris with the White Endurance Pendant, then tells Iris once she wins 3 more battle pendants of the same color, she will be able to access the main battle facility. Iris is excited. This is the kind of challenge she was looking for. After the prizes are handed out, Ash and Iris head to the Pokemon Center. Both get their Pokemon looked at there, and after that, that, they go to eat. During the meal, Ash is super quiet. Iris asks him what's wrong. He states that after his performance today and watching Iris win, he has a long way to go. He knows he needs to work with Palpitoad and the rest of his Pokemon to be the best trainer he can be. He is at a roadblock for ideas on how. Iris suggests that they go see Adler. The advice of a champion like Adler could prove to be useful. Maybe he will let you train with him a little bit. Ash likes this idea, and the next day, they head over to Adler's house. And once arriving, Adler is outside, and he is talking with two children. As Ash and Iris approach, he waves the two kids goodbye, and they leave. Adler greets them. Iris, Ash, nice to see you again. It looks like you found that Pokemon you were looking for. Ash says, yep, this is my partner, Riolu. Adler says hi to Riolu, and asks what brings them back his way. Ash then goes on to explain everything that's been going on, and the problem with Rielu's Aurasphere, it being blind, and the overwhelming issue that is Palpitoad. Adler replies, wow, you've had quite the adventure for only being a trainer for a few weeks. Ash says, yeah, that's why I'm here. Could you maybe help me? Maybe give me some pointers? Being the champion and all, you must have a lot of knowledge about Pokemon. Adler stares at Ash with an intense look, then glances at Iris, then asks if this was her idea. She slyly says, yeah. Then Adler looks back at Ash with a moment of silence that seems to take an eternity. Then breaks the silence. Sure, why not? That's what I do anyways. Ash looks confused. Adler goes on to explain that the two kids they saw earlier were his students that live in town. They come here once a week to learn about Pokemon. Ash replies, wow, are you serious? Please teach me, please. Adler replies, okay, I already said I would. Ash yells, yeah, thank you, Adler. Adler says he would like to have a Pokemon battle with Ash to better understand the situation. Ash doesn't hesitate. Okay, how many Pokemon? Adler replies, how many do you have? Ash says 3 total. Adler says, okay, let me see all 3 of them. They then head to the battlefield. Ash sends out Swadloon to start. Adler decides to lead with his trusty Bouffalant. Ash says wow and pulls out his Pokedex to get some info on it. Ash is impressed. Adler tells Ash that he can have the first move. Ash says okay and orders a Razor Leaf that has no effect. Ash is lost and says what happened? Adler explains that that's Bouffalant's ability, Sap Sipper. Every grass type attack that hits it is nullified and increases its attack instead. Ash says well, I guess we'll have to do something else, as he orders a Bug Bite, and Adler gives the order for a head charge. Bouffalant comes in at a blinding speed and connects before Ash and Swadloon have a chance to react, and knocks it out. Ash is just in shocked silence. This is the power of a champion? Well, okay, then here comes the next one, and Ash sends out Palpitoad. Adler and Bouffalant are waiting, ready to give Ash and Palpitoad the first move. Ash commands a Mud Shot. Palpitoad turns to look at Ash and hits him with the Mud Shot. Adler is confused. Ash starts yelling at Palpitoad, and it just ignores him. Bouffalant walks over, trying to break up the fight between the two. Palpitoad doesn't like it, so he starts to attack repeatedly with Mud Shots and Bubble Beams. Bouffalant is just taking hits without any command to dodge from Adler. Then they look over and realize that Adler is asleep. Bouffalant, embarrassed by its trainer, turns and runs at Adler full force with a head smash, waking him up. Adler and Bouffalant then start to argue, and Palpitoad sees this. It doesn't like being ignored while it's in battle, and fires a Mud Shot at the two. Bouffalant, now angry that it was interrupted for scolding its trainer, and without command, charges toward Palpitoad with a Mega Horn, knocking it out. But it's still not happy, and Adler can see this, so he recalls it back. Ash calls back Palpitoad as well, and asks why he fell asleep. Adler states that he wasn't feeling excited enough, and when that happens, he gets bored. But don't worry, it won't happen again. Ash is confused, and Iris is now annoyed. Then, they go on to start the battle. Ash sends out Riolu, and Adler chooses Excelgor. Ash comments to Adler that he and Riolu battled one of those. It was someone that called themselves Andriel, Slayer of the Shadow Triad. Adler then gets quiet, then says, yeah, I figured from your description, so I thought I would use the same Pokemon and try to recreate the scenario that you went through. Adler then follows by saying he won't be holding back. Ash says him and Riolu wouldn't have it any other way, as he orders Riolu to use a quick attack. Adler counters with the Focus Blast, knocking Riolu back, but it stays standing. Adler is impressed, commenting that a Focus Blast at that range would knock out a Pokemon of its level normally. Then, Adler says, let's turn it up a notch, and orders Excelgor to charge in, to get close. But Ash thinks he's ready. He orders Riolu to stay and wait. When Excelgor gets close enough, it uses Acid Spray, and Ash tries counter, but it fails. Excelgor then follows up with the Bug Buzz, and Riolu takes even more damage. Adler is watching intensely. He asks Ash if they can recreate the night when Riolu first hatched. Ash says how. Adler says Excelgor will launch a full-powered energy ball at Riolu, and he wants them to react the same way they did on that night. Ash says, okay, ready when you are, and Excelgor begins to charge the attack. Ash tells Riolu to wait, so it does. Excelgor launches the energy ball, and Riolu intercepts it the way he did that night, holding it back to the best of its abilities. But this time it's different. Riolu knows how to use Aurasphere, at least 2 times a day, without much effort. So Ash orders an Aurasphere from Riolu. It tries to get one out, but it's having trouble. Ash commands one again, but still nothing. Riolu is trying, but it can't. Then it starts glowing with aura, as well as pushing back attack on the energy ball, but then it stops. It can't handle this pressure and strain and loses control. The energy ball connects, knocking it out. Several hours later, it awakes, and they're inside Adler's house. Ash is right there by its side as it awakes. Adler comes into the room and is excited to see Riolu and greets it. Ash asks Adler if Benga will be coming back. Adler explains that he won at the Battle Club and went on to Verbank City to start his quest and won't be coming back anytime soon. Adler then says that after watching his Pokemon in battle, he has an idea on how to help each and every one of them, but it's going to take about a week if Ash can spend that amount of time. Ash says he will do anything for his Pokemon. Adler says good, and with a smile he says, "We will get started first thing in the morning." The price of vanity. It's been a week. Ash and Riolu have made a lot of progress, and this time Alder has been having them training with Excelgor due to its high speed, so that Riolu doesn't just focus on sensing aura, but it can hear and smell where its opponents are. Ash has been doing this as well, focusing on becoming more alert to the changes in the battle and its field, so he can react with Riolu. Due to all this training, the two have learned that Riolu's aura is like a battery. Since it's not using its ability to sense aura as much and using more of its enhanced senses, it doesn't drain as fast. Because of this, its ability to use Aura Sphere has increased from 2 a day to 5. On the 7th day of training, Alder approaches Ash and says he can't put it off anymore. Ash, looking puzzled, asks what do you mean? Alder tells him that his training is over and he must move on to the next part of his journey. Ash then replies, "But Alder, we only worked with Riolu. What about Palpitoad?" Alder replies, "Palpitoad isn't like Riolu. Because of his blindness, it needed a special focus and training." He then goes on to say that Palpitoad is a lot like his Buffalant. It's a powerful Pokemon who was the leader of its herd. When I caught it, we didn't get along at first, but over time, it became part of my team. He tells Ash to stop treating it like his Pokemon and start treating it like its equal. It will eventually come around. He explains that Palpitoad is probably the strongest Pokemon in the place that he caught it, so its pride is most likely damaged. It probably wants Ash to prove that it wasn't a fluke that it was caught. Alder says that it's not something he could do here, so it's time for the two to move on. Ash agrees reluctantly, so he and Iris head out the next morning. They reach Verbank City really quickly, and at the entrance of the city, there's a sign with a comment on it that says Benga was here, and Ash is a loser. This infuriates Ash. He says, "Watch, I'm gonna go earn my second badge, catch up to him, and beat him." Iris then tells Ash to calm down, and that Benga is such a kid. There's no reason to let him get you all riled up. Ash in disappointment agrees, and the two continue on into the city. As they enter the city, they then see a huge complex off to the left with a main gate. Ahead of them, two people are in front of it. As they get closer, they can see that it's an older male and a younger female, and they are arguing. Ash and Iris eventually get to the place where they are standing, and the male yells, "It's my dream," and heads off into the complex. The girl then starts crying. Iris and Ash ask if she is okay. She wipes the tears away, trying to hide that she was just crying, saying that her stupid dad, he keeps neglecting his duties, trying to chase his dream of being a big Pokestar Studios actor. Ash then asks who she is. She replies, "I'm Roxy, the gym leader of Verbank City." Ash says great as he introduces himself and challenges her to a gym battle. She replies, "I'm sorry, I can't right now." Iris then inquires why. Roxy replies, "You see, my dad used to be the gym leader here in Verbank. Then he decided that one day he wanted to become an actor and started neglecting his duties at the gym. When Pokestar Studios opened, it wasn't a big deal because I took over the gym. But he is also the ferry operator for the harbor that runs between here and Castelia City, and now he's not even doing that." Roxy then says that until she gets him back to doing what he is supposed to do, she won't be having any battles until further notice. Ash then chimes in and asks, "What if we help? Then would you have a battle?" Roxy thinks about this, stating, "Alright, if you can get my dad back to normal, then I will have a gym battle with you." Ash shouts, "Yes, let's do this," turning as they head into the complex. Once they are inside, they get a scope of just how big this complex actually is. Roxy comments that this is the first time she's actually been inside. Off in the distance, in front of one of the buildings, Iris spots someone she knows. She runs toward them with the others in tow and yells, "Hey, Bryson!" He looks over. "Well, if it isn't Iris, how are you?" "Fine," Iris says, and she asks what he is doing here. She thought he was still a gym leader. Ash says, "Gym leader?" Confused. Bryson explains that he is, but he's also one of Unova's top actors. So when he isn't defending his gym, he is here in Verbank City, making movies. Ash then replies, "Well then, let's have a gym battle right now." Bryson laughs. "I'm sorry, Ash. I'm the leader of the Isira City Gym. If you want to challenge me for a badge, then you'll have to do it when we get there." Ash, disappointed, hangs his head and just says okay. Bryson then asks what they are doing here. Roxy explains what is going on. Then someone behind them says, oh, that must be the gentleman that came in declaring he would be the next top actor of Unova. They all turn around to see a very flamboyant fellow standing there. Bryson introduces this as Mr. Gold, the president of PokéStar Studios. Roxy explains the full situation and how her father has been neglecting his duty as a gym leader and the harbor master. Mr. Gold replies, well, that will not do. We must fix this. Bryson then says, Mr. Gold, if you leave it to me, I have a plan. Very well, Bryson, I will leave it to you, Mr. Gold says. Bryson then tells them all to come in as he explains the plan. The next day, everyone including Roxy and her dad are at the main casting studio that shoots short films to try and get parts in movies. Roxy's dad gets called first and is super excited. He tells Roxy, see, they know talent when they see it, and walks into the casting area. Roxy replies under her breath, I hope this works. Pop Roxy gets inside and immediately becomes nervous. As he stares, standing across from him is Bryson. He didn't realize that he would be shooting with someone so famous so soon, and it's affecting his confidence. The producer explains that they will be doing some test shots, making a short film. Bryson will be the bad guy, and Roxy's dad will be the good guy. With that, they get to it, and Bryson sends in his Baratic, while Pop Roxy sends out his Durant. They were given lines of dialogue to use and moves to call out from their specific Pokemon, but Roxy's dad is so nervous he can't remember any of the lines, and just starts calling random moves, confusing Durant. Bryson counters and KOs Durant, with the director yelling cut, send in the next actor. Roxy's dad is shocked, and as he goes to leave, Ash and Riolu walk in. Ash asks how did it go? Not wanting Ash to know he choked, Roxy's dad replies, flawless. No one could have done better. Ash says, awesome. Me and Riolu are gonna do our best. And Roxy's dad walks out. 2 days later, they are all invited back to PokéStar Studios for the world premiere double feature. Roxy's dad gets there and is super excited. This is his chance for stardom. Never mind his choke in the studio. They probably just fix it in editing. After all, he was the hero. They all go inside and watch the two movies. First is Roxy's dad. The movie starts and he is amazed at all the CGI they put in. Surely they can fix him losing. But as the minutes tick away, it quickly becomes apparent that they didn't, and the movie ends. The crowd is disappointed. Boos ring throughout the theater. Then the second movie starts. Ash and Riolu's. From the start, it's obvious that it's the same plot as Roxy's dad, but it feels completely different. Riolu and Ash are in sync, and because of it, it ends with Bryson, the villain, in defeat. Then the crowd cheers as it ends. They loved it, with the theater clearing out and Ash's movie all the talk. On the way out, Roxy's dad keeps hearing comments about how stiff he was, and his Pokemon had no clue what to do. This saddens him, and he runs off to the back of PokéStar Studios. Roxy and the others, realizing they need to find him, give chase, splitting up. Iris heads west, Roxy heads east, and Ash and Riolu head north, just outside of PokéStar Studios. Ash goes deep into the woods. Then Riolu hears something, signaling to Ash, and they head in a little bit deeper. They hear what sounds like music and someone singing, eventually coming to a large lake. The sound was getting closer and closer. When they got to the lake, it stopped suddenly. Ash and Riolu are confused. Back with Iris, she's searching the west side of the complex and comes across a large radio tower. She looks up and thinks she sees someone standing at the top, but she blinks, and whatever she thought she saw is gone. She thinks to herself, are my eyes playing tricks on me? Meanwhile, Roxy catches up with her dad, and he is crying his eyes out. She asks what's wrong, and he says he's a fraud. He choked when he had the chance to work with Bryson, and now his dreams will never come true. Roxy, feeling guilty, tells her dad that it was all just a plan to get him to see he was neglecting his responsibilities, and she says she was sorry. She never meant to hurt him. He says, no, it's my fault. I've been selfish, and I hadn't considered everyone else while asking for her to forgive him. She does and says, let's head back. Once they get back, they are all relieved that Roxy's dad is okay. He says he's sorry about all of his behavior and that he's done with all of this acting. He will resume his roles as the gym leader and the harbor master. From behind, however, he hears, you don't have to give up acting. They all turn, and Bryson and Mr. Gold are standing there. Roxy's dad looks confused. Mr. Gold explains that as long as he maintains his regular roles in life, there's no reason why he can't be an actor, just like Bryson. Roxy's dad begins to immediately perk up. Bryson states that since you're taking back over the gym, you now have your first challenger, and points to Ash. Roxy's dad says, alright, no problem, and asks Ash if he's ready. Then, Roxy says, hold on. The deal was, if you help me with my dad, I would battle you. So, you will be my opponent. Looking on, Roxy's dad could not be more proud of her. This will be her last official battle as a gym leader. She looks at Ash and says, I hope you're ready. I wouldn't have it any other way. Meanwhile, just outside of PokéStar Studios, there is a shadowy figure lurking about, and you hear him say, Base, come in. This is Andrew. The target appears to have moved on, and I'm not getting any more readings off of its song or sonic tones, then it's time to move on. Your next mission is to collect all of the data on Thunderous from the Verbank complex. Andrew replies, "Understood," over and out, and disappears off into the night. And that's all we have for this part. I hope you guys really enjoyed this one. It's been fun redoing some of my older series and giving them a much more modern Ronin Charizard feel, because the other ones certainly seem outdated. But with all that being said, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. And don't forget to follow me on my other platforms, such as Twitter, Discord, and Patreon. For only $5 a month, you can get up to a week's early access to all of my content. And that really helps with the channel, because all of that is currently being used to fund my 10K project, and the patrons deserve a special thanks. So with that being said, we're going to close out the video the best way we know how, with thanking our sponsors. And you guys have been growing a lot recently, and I really appreciate it. Silverheart Soul, Robert, Vegito Gaming 78, Andrew McCartney, Holosiv, Julian Rodriguez, Ruben Watson, Lord Explosion Murder, Assassin 139, Flyer 943, Shadow Dragon, Tavern Landlord, Keb McKnight, Kevin Atron, Drax, Truevolt, Adrian Carr, Dino King, Dalen Silva, Fox King, Dalian Petit, Warney Taylor, Plus Ultraman, Megar, Mike Logan, Team Valor, Kendall Green, Earth Dragon, John Larson, Josh Van Meppelin, and Alex Horsey. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.